All right. All right, folks. We just did a little studio update video. And now we're going to have a go at a couple pots. I hope that everybody watching is having a fantastic night. I hope that everything's going well. I hope your bellies are full and your cups are just. Today we're going to have a go at some larger mugs, probably not mugs, maybe just some larger vessels. Something that I've been really wanting to work on is throwing big, as you might have seen. Maybe you've seen some of my pictures or whatever that I've been posting a little bit. But we're wanting to throw big, so we're gonna have a go at a couple pots today. I got my clay pre-wedged for the session, as you can see here. Nice wet lump of clay. This is about 5 pounds. So we're gonna throw 5 pounds of clay today, and we're gonna try to make a nice bulbous shape. Something that I don't have a lot of practice doing is making large vessels. So it's something that I thought we would have a go at today. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna get our clay on the wheel. And once our clay is on the wheel, we're gonna turn the wheel on. And we're going to center the clay. I like to get the wheel going like pretty quick, pretty fast here for this particular bit. And first I'll start centering just by putting my weight into the clay. You do sometimes need to get a lot of water for this part. And we're going to begin the coning process for this clay. We're going to start pulling the clay up into a cone. And you really want to try to center the bottom really nice and good. Sometimes some potters, this isn't something I do a lot, but they'll use a sponge to help the coning process. I don't know, I kind of find that kind of inconsistent. So we're just going to start coning more, bringing our cone nice and tall, nice proud cone. Nice and proud, you see. And this is the first cone, so it's not like too important that it's absolutely perfect. We're going to do a little more water, and then we're going to cone down. This is sometimes the hardest bit to learn about coning. It's easy to get the clay up, and it's just as easy to get the clay back down if you can get the your hand. See, you need to push. You got to push the clay over and down on itself. Now this is pretty well centered, and it's not really giving me a hard time. So we're going to make sure we get it into a good shape for opening. Kind of lost our center there. My apologies, folks. We're going to have to work on that. I'm not used to throwing 5-pound bowls. So it's something that we all need to have a go at every once in a while, you know. Sometimes you need to be not afraid to throw your pots big. Make a lot of small bits and bobs, you see. It takes me a long time to center this much clay, but that is just about right there. You can feel if your clay is centered. And if it's not, don't be afraid to be like me, man. I'm not a professional potter. I'm making these videos in a way to just kind of go over some of the mistakes that I'm making. But I'm just hopeful that anybody who watches this video or other videos might get something helpful out of this. So we are now about centered. So I apologize for that, folks, but as I stated before, it's really important. We're going to bring the wheel speed down a bit, and we are going to we're going to open our bit here. So we start by making a divot. I like to put a little more water, and then we use 2 thumbs and we dig into the vessel. Then we're going to stop the wheel and check for depth of foot, and that's where you put the thing in and you check. So we got a lot of foot there, so we can actually push down quite a bit more to give us a little bit more of a thicker foot. So we did, and then you test again. You know, if you're not used to throwing this amount of clay, test and test and test. I'd like to stick with a little bit of a thicker foot here because I actually want to do some turning on this pot. Sometimes that's not something I always do. Okay, a little more speed. We're losing our center a little bit. We can always go back. So now, we're opening. I'm going to do a tall cylinder shape. Now it's really important, especially if you have a thick bottom, to really compress the clay. And you do that by just gliding your fingers across it. You know, just glide your fingers across it. Make sure your elbows grounded to your body, and then just open up that bottom. So now we're left with a basic cylinder shape, and now we're going to speed it up a little bit. We're actually going to do a pull here. We're going to do our first pull. Make sure it's still nice and centered. And then our first pull here. Gonna get a lot of our clay from the base pulled up. You see, so we got our first pull. Do another pull. I'm going to try to do a knuckle pull here. I know we have a lot of clay on the wheel, but I just feel like I have such better control with my knuckle than I do with my sponge on the wheel. Just helps me keep form better, I feel. I've really been trying with these big shapes. I see a lot of potters online who use a bit of a wobble, who use a sponge to pull. And that's something that I thought was kind of cool. And I found it useful when I did the 12-pound ball. We got a bit of a wobble. But you know, that's okay because we're learning. And the thing here is we need to try to get some of this clay from the bottom up. Guess what? We were able to do it, folks. We got some real wobble, especially on that pull on the early bits. Our walls are not, I repeat, they are not. We'll do some collaring to get recentered. Collaring is something that you do when you just ground yourself and you just put 2 hands around the pot and bring it up. It's necessary if your pot is off center to collar it. As you can see, we have a lot less wobble from that pull. We're going to do another pull here. We're going to pull more clay from the bottom up. Little bulbous at the bottom, as you might be able to tell from the video. We'll do another collar for another pull, for sure. Another collar. Necessary for this next pull. Alright, for this one, I'm going to stand. Okay, fellas, that was a good pull, I think. Gonna re-moisten the pot. Got a lot of water in there. I just want to do another high pull, you know, so bad. That's something you got to try to do, guys. If that's something, if you're not always trying to push the clay to do the most that it can, you know, you got to understand, like, a thin pot is so satisfying. Getting a pot thin to where it's nice to hold, it feels good in the hand. We lost it, guys. We lost it. We lost it. I think we lost it. I think we lost it. And that's one of the things, too, guys. You can't be afraid to lose your pots. Sometimes we lose a pot. It does happen. You can try. We're going to try to save it. We're going to try. We're going to get some of this juice from the inside out. We're going to try to get some of this out of there. We're going to do our best to save it, guys. Look at that. Sometimes you just got to take a step off the pedal. And see, we just saved it. Just like that, guys. I thought that one was a goner. I really did. I really thought that one was a goner. But it wasn't. And that's like the beautiful thing about making pots, guys. All right, we got a tall cylinder. I think that's about as far as I can get it. It's not very centered. I'm gonna try to collar it again. And then I'm gonna try to make it something special, you know. My problem is, I just don't have a centered piece. So I'm going to try to collar in the top quite a bit. What this is basically going to help me do is widen out the shoulders of the pot without bowling out. Alright guys, this is the point where Brody needs to really pay attention. Alright, so we got a bit of a belly. We got a bit of a belly. Let's see if I can get a bit of a bigger belly. Because that's something I don't do a lot of, is big belly pots. We're getting there. Not quite. I'm thinking more like a moon jar. You know? And I don't have a bat that I'm throwing on, so I'll leave the sucker on the wheel overnight. We're getting there. Alright, so we got a good belly, but it could be a little more defined. As you can see, alright guys, as you can see, I've kind of slowed my mouth down quite a bit because I'm really feeling that I'm getting a good shape with this. And I want to keep that trend going, you know. We're losing it. We're losing our beautiful shape. Sometimes you overwork the clay, and that's kind of the point I'm getting to right now. It can genuinely happen. You can genuinely overthrow your clay. We're losing her. I really wanted to do a narrow neck, and I don't think I'm going to be able to. I think we just kind of got to deal with what the clay provides in this case. Sometimes that's the best you can do. Sometimes the best you can do is the best you can do. But what can we do to improve? It's always what we need to be thinking. So we're gonna... Alright folks, now, sorry for the silence for the last couple minutes there. I just wanted to try to get a little more form to the outside before we give it its final forming with the rib tool. And we'll do a little bit more work on the neck here as well, because had a little bit of a man down there. That, among other things, can be fixed. You know what? Let's go ahead and do a... We're going to cut this bit off. We're going to just stick with our moon jar shape. I think I can come up with a better... I think this little fucking bowl, this little fishbowl shape has more character as well. The rib is really going to help give you the bulbosity if that's what you're looking for. And sometimes, you know, you lose the form a little bit, but guess what? You're still on the wheel. Things can still be corrected that aren't great. Things can still be changed. You're still on the wheel. And at the end of the day, I could cut this thing in half and not even care. Alright, so now we got a pretty good little form on there. Doing a little bit of a rolled lip here. For a little more form in the lip. All right. The more trimming you do at this stage, the less you have to do later if you want to keep that in mind too. So I think this is the only piece we're gonna make tonight, and that's because I have to leave it on the wheel. I don't have a heat gun. I don't have any way to expedite this process. So the only thing that I can do currently is to get this water out of the splash pan. Yeah. So we're gonna get the water out of the splash pan, and then we're gonna just leave this overnight probably. But we do have to still wire it. That's a very important thing that I feel like a lot of people, you know, have a lot of questions about. Because wiring off your pot and how to get it off the wheel, there's all kinds of little gadgets, little claws that you can use to help get your pots off the wheel. Bats, things like that are really nice because they'll help. A bat is something that you put on the wheel to lift the pot off. Basically throw it on a new wheel head. Its own wheel head. We're just gonna do it quick. All right. So we got a little pot right there. You know, sometimes you just end up with what you end up with. The pot sometimes manifests itself from the clay. And that's just how it is. And this is what we got today, like a little water pot or something. Just one wire, guys, just one. And that's that. We made a little pot today. A little bulbous fish bowl type thing. I mean, that could end up being like a teapot or something, but I don't think so. I think I'm just gonna let it be. Let it be a bulbous little pot, like it is always meant to be. What we'll do next is a video on turning the pot. Okay. That we ended up with. Let's just take a little closer look so everybody can see what we ended up with here. Just a nice little bulbous shape. Started off with 5 pounds of clay, probably ended up with about 3.5, 4, because I cut off a bunch. But that's what we ended up with, folks. Nice little bulbous bowl. You lose a lot of the height in the form. We'll see what we end up with next time. I appreciate you sticking around if you got this far. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.